Hi, YouTube family. This is Brother John and Sister James Elizabeth Jane is behind the camera. And we are coming to you today from our little home on the prairie. And we are going to talk about how to keep warm. And I know that a lot of people have recently had to deal with that throughout the country. This crazy storm Elliott really brought an Arctic blast down into the midsection of the nation, and then it moved east and wreaked havoc. And I know a lot of people were out of power, and you need to be able to keep warm to stay alive. And sometimes blankets and if the power's out, your furnace won't work because it needs power. There are ways to be prepared for that, to provide some backup power, which is always a good idea if you own a home. And especially for refrigeration and for heater, though that furnace needs power. It won't run even though you may be hooked up to a gas line. You're going to need power of some sort to keep the thermostat checking the temperature and to start the furnace when it needs to start. And so you have to have power to keep a furnace running. But what we're going to look at is from ways to keep warm. And what I've got here in front of me displayed is a makeshift heater, believe it or not, made out of Crisco. Isn't that cool? This Crisco, notice how right above the eye it has a little flame. Originally, when what I was told, and you can correct me on this, but originally this stuff was invented to be used for candles. And now we use it for cooking. But it is an excellent source for burning and making a long-term candle. This is the smallest can they make, and the reason I picked that is so that I can put it in my makeshift heater housing. And these are things you can buy at any local store, Walmart, Lowe's. This we got at Walmart. We got all this at Walmart. So one-stop shop, and you can make a little heater source. It can also be turned into a candle for light too. But this kind of candle will burn for quite a while. And I've read up to 24 hours, 36 hours, some incredible lengths of time for a Crisco candle. And Crisco cans come in different sizes. I've seen up to 72 hours for a little Crisco candle heater that you can turn into. Now, obviously, this isn't going to put out a lot of British thermal units, a lot of heat, a lot of BTUs. And so what you have to do is you only use these kinds of these heaters in a very small environment. So like a tent, for example. If you were in an apartment in a city and your power went out and you had no heat and you're freezing, you could, let's say you had a tent and a sleeping bag. You could set up one of these candles in a tent, and a small area, a bathroom, a closet, a large closet where you could, this puts out just a candle. But if you had 2 or 3 of these burning at the same time, you could warm up a small space, and you could stay alive. It could provide enough heat for you to stay alive, and anywhere. And so this is a good survivalist hack, if you want to call it that, where you take just an ordinary candle. You take the candle and you cut it off. You measure how high you need. You cut it off at the size of your can, and Crisco. You just push this right down into it. You trim the wick because the wick will cause like soot and smoke, and that'll cut down on and how fast it burns. So you cut the candle, shove it down inside the middle of this. You can light it, or you can light it after you drop it down in there. You can light it with your match, and you put your little ceramic cover over it, and voila, you have a little heater. It's protected from the wind getting to it. I use one of these underneath my RV. I've made a compartment underneath the freshwater holding tank. specifically, and you know, it'll. I've just put some insulation to the ground right underneath the tank, and I can run this at night, 4 or 5 nights a week. It just depends on how often you need to run it. But it can keep that space in there, a small space, above freezing. It can keep you from freezing. It can also keep a holding tank from freezing. But just a simple little gizmo like this, you can buy commercially made candle heaters that can put out some decent BTUs. I've seen some, they have longer special candles that you put in a little lantern looking thing, and you can put 3 candles in there, and it really can put out some BTUs. And they burn for like 9 hours. That's another little survival tool that you can just buy online, Amazon, wherever, and provide yourself some heat. Then from there, you can go up to a space heater, little buddy space heaters that they have for propane tanks. Get you a little, like a propane tank that you use for your gas, outdoor gas stove that grill that you use for cooking. They have those little 30-pound and 20-pound and 40-pound and 100-pound. They get all different sizes for portable propane tanks that you can hook up to a space heater. And a space heater, obviously, those Mr. Buddies will work inside. It's good to have ventilation though, but they'll heat you up. I mean, that's probably one of your best choices for an apartment, let's say, or a room, a whole room for a bedroom, to keep that warm. And in the case of a winter storm that's knocked out the power and you need to stay warm, so don't have anything. Be prepared, and that's what we use. We have space heaters like that in case of an emergency. Of course, out here in a fifth wheel RV, we've got several batteries. We have solar power, and we can keep our furnace running because it's built to live off grid while we're building our refuge out here in the middle of nowhereville. You can have generators, obviously, and you can have solar power to keep your batteries running. So if you wanted to, you could make the furnace on your house even hooked up to solar power batteries. Solar power to charge your batteries, and then your batteries to keep your furnace running. The problem with that is that your batteries won't be able to run the blower on your fan, because that'll just drain your batteries. So you have to think about all that kind of thing if you're going to try to keep your house going, even though you're on gas. Those are just some fast tips for keeping warm. And keeping warm, you want to have a plan. You want to have a way to stay warm in these through these cold winters. We don't know what the Lord's going to bring to us here in these end times, and we know that the weather is going to keep getting very volatile and going from extreme cold to extreme hot, and you need to be prepared as best you can to take care of yourself and your family. God bless you, YouTube family. May the Lord bless you and keep you. Peace out.